It's the RugbyPass Fanzone Lions edition, live from London, with Scotland's Jim Hamilton, England's Andy Goode, Ireland and Lions' Stephen Ferris, Wales and Lions' Alun Jones, and you, the fans.
Yeah, we just felt that there were certain things from the weekend in terms of particularly the aerial battle, and we just got nothing out of that. So that was one of the areas. Disappointing with the last 20 minutes in terms of we've given away eight penalties in the last 20 minutes, and 4 of them we considered were pretty needless, and ones that we shouldn't have given away. And not complaining about the result. In fairness to South Africa, they finished strongly, but it was a tight game. We were happy with the first half and where we were, and at 60 minutes on the clock, there's nothing in the game. So we just felt that Wyn Jones was very unlucky. Not so. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. We just felt Wyn Jones was very, very unlucky. He picked up that injury in the first test. He's back fit, and so it's that sort of combination with Wyn and Ken in the front row, and then obviously Ali's done pretty well in the first test, so we've swapped our 9s around, and then with Bundy and Robbie, they've got a pretty familiar combination, and that midfield's always been a bit of a discussion, a bit of a debate for us, and just looking at the physicality that Bundy brought and the A game and stuff. So and that combination of them two working together, and then just giving the chance to move Robbie one out.
Were you tempted to make more changes, or is there a danger that you throw the baby out with the bathwater almost?
Yeah, you're just trying to get that balance right. I think if I go back, we did the same thing 4 years ago. We made 6 changes. So, and I think it's credit to the players, because there have been so many tight calls, and so many you're there and you're having a long discussion about selection and trying to get the right combination, and thinking about players to start and impact coming off the bench. So yeah, there's definitely been some really, really tough and tight calls on this tour.
And do you change your approach, your game plan as well, or just the personnel? Do you stick to what?
No, it's different. Look, we definitely want to play some more rugby. And we just didn't get that opportunity in the second half. And I mean, the first half we got some of the bounces we did in the first test in terms of the aerial stuff, and basically we got nothing from the air in the second half, and the point being, South Africa kicked the ball 22 times in the second half. We've only kicked it 10 times. We've tried to go out there and get some momentum and play some rugby, and we never got into the game in that last 20 minutes or so. So, and that's why there's a couple of changes, and Finn Russell comes on the bench because he's a little bit different, and our 2 10s are very good at what they do and quite similar, and he offers us something a little bit different.
What did you make of Carl Sinclair's sighting and the fact it was the only incident picked up by the sighting commissioner?
Yeah, that's been dealt with at the moment. So look, he denied anything until we were waiting to hear from the decision from when that's done. So sometimes those sorts of things happen. There's nothing clear on any video evidence that I've looked at, so we'll just wait and see what comes back after the hearing.
Yeah, it doesn't look like there's anything conclusive. Are you aware of any other evidence there might be?
With regard to?
Well, the video doesn't seem to show conclusively that there's a bite. Is anyone? I don't know how it works, but have you been told there's any other evidence that would lead to the citing commissioner pulling it out?
No, not that I'm aware of.
How is Carl Sinclair? How has he dealt with it?
I haven't spoken to him. They had a hearing that started at 9 o'clock this morning, and it's still going. So we're waiting to see the result of that.
And finally, from me, Warren, Rassie Erasmus will have to answer to World Rugby about his video. Just your reaction to that, and do you think that's the right course?
Look, there's been so much said about that sort of stuff. The only thing I'm disappointed in World Rugby's statement is that they've kind of inadvertently dragged us into it. You know, we've tried to, we think, maintain as much integrity as we can in terms of we haven't been commenting on the referee. We never questioned the TMO or integrity of the TMO. The only question we asked is that why hadn't World Rugby put a contingency plan in place that if people couldn't travel or if people had got sick, and that was the only question that we had asked. So yeah, I'm really, really disappointed with a part of the statement where we've kind of been, they've sort of said both sides have been making comments and been critical of the officials. I'd like someone to show me where we have done that, because we've looked through everything and we can't see any instances where we've been critical of the officials. In fact, I think we've praised the officials.
Thank you, Warren.
Warren, in terms of the issues that you wanted to address, how do you deal with those? Is it simply a case of just repetition out on the training park?
Yeah, it's just look, there's opportunities at the moment with the way we understand how much they're going to kick the ball. They don't. If you look at the game, I mean, there was 2 tries scored by them through kick pressure. Like I said, they got a lot of stuff from the aerial battle, and then got some scrums or some turnovers. That's the way the game's been played at the moment. And then, if you do win that, it does give you an opportunity to be attacking and to move the ball. And defences are so tight. There's very, very little space for both teams. So you get down there and you've got to look at playing through the phases and keeping the ball. And when we did that, we put them under pressure. When we were playing through 4 or 5 phases, then they gave away a penalty, and we were able to keep that pressure on. So we've just got to make sure that we do more of that. We've got to be positive in terms of shifting the ball when we do create opportunities, and those are the things that we're working on hard this week.
The second test was actually the lowest amount of ball in play on the tour so far. Is that something that you have to up, or is that just the nature of a test match against South Africa, and therefore you have to be more precise when you get the ball?
I think there's 2 things here. One is looking at the ball and keeping the ball, and also talking to the officials about making sure that we keep the game flowing. I mean, I think that we felt like that every scrum there was an injury, slowing the game down. I think we had something like 14 minutes of TMO time in the game, and we've worked pretty hard from a conditioning point of view, and it was really, really stop-start, and that made it frustrating for us. And we want to keep the tempo of the game up, to get the ball in our scrums, to get the ball in quickly at lineouts, to play and to get a flow. And South Africa at the moment don't want to do that. They everything is so stop-started that it does make it frustrating. I know Alun Wyn Jones was talking to the referee about on a number of occasions about keeping it going, and we had stud changes, we had TMO decisions, we had the referee stopping the game for cramp. So that'll be one of the things that I talk to the referees this week when we discuss. We need to make sure that we can't have 60-odd minute halves. I mean, I think it's important that we keep the flow of the game, and as much from a spectator point of view, we want we want to see some pretty good rugby, and we didn't see some great rugby played on the weekend.
I don't want to go through every player, obviously, but Jamie George started all 3 Test matches for you in New Zealand 4 years ago, yet won't make a Test appearance on this tour. Is that a stylistic difference for the kind of game you want to play? Maybe a technical issue? It would seem interesting that he was your number 1 go-to guy 4 years ago, yet doesn't get an outing here.
Yeah, that's been a really tough call, and spoke to Jamie, and he's really disappointed and gutted that he hasn't had an opportunity, and we just felt that the other 2 haven't done anything wrong. Sometimes that's what happens, and when you make calls, it's not about making a change for change's sake or giving someone else a chance. Sometimes you do that, but you've also, if you do drop a player and make changes, then you've got to give them a pretty good reason, and if they've been playing well and doing okay, then that's difficult. And we've felt that both of hookers have done well, and Luke's played well on this tour, and Ken Owens has come on, given us impact at times, and Jamie's just unlucky, and that's, like I said, I keep saying it's a credit to the players, because we've had so many different choices, and some players have been really unlucky.
Just finally from me, I think we're all expecting Duane Vermeulen to be in the South African squad when it's named later. What does he bring differently from what the other number 8s you've faced so far?
I'm not expecting him to be in the squad, so I thought it would be. I know he's coming back, but look, he's a big part of their game, and in terms of what he brings, they've obviously have been missing his presence at number 8 in terms of his carrying and his line-out stuff and more work, brings the physicality. So I thought he may be in the 23. I would be surprised if they do start him, but we'll just have to wait and see.
Thank you, Warren.
Hi, Warren. Just picking up that point you made a minute ago about tempo and speed of the game. Is that you saying that if you're going to win on Saturday, you do need to pick the speed of the game up?
Yeah, I mean, it would help if it wasn't such, I said, players going down for injuries on a regular basis and stopping, and you want that flow in the game. So and we've seen from other games when we've had that tempo that we've played some really good rugby, and it was very frustrating, and for us, and particularly for Alun Wyn on the weekend, he was talking to the referee on a number of occasions, asking to speed up, and you could hear the ref through his mics as well, sort of encouraging both teams to keep the flow of the game going, because it was so slow. So yeah, we definitely want some tempo, particularly with the team going with a 6-2 split as well, and just how long the halves have been, but how little minutes in play that we're actually getting. So it's definitely something that's not to our advantage, and we need to work on that and make sure that we try and definitely keep that tempo up for this weekend.
And you mentioned that you want to play a bit more rugby. Are you concerned about the lack of creativity, and did you give any thought to bringing in a second playmaker in the midfield, whether it was an Owen Farrell at 12 or an Elliot Daly at 13?
Yeah, it's just having the ball the ball at the right time to do that, and picking up's not so much about the creativity. It's just about making sure that we get some front foot ball and whatever. And I wouldn't say that South Africa have been creative in any way in terms of that. From an attacking perspective, haven't really stressed us in any ways. And like I said, we've played some good rugby earlier in this tour, and if we can get some front foot ball on the weekend, we had some good phases. We've highlighted and identified to the players where we have created some chances and probably just haven't executed them. So that's the thing we'll be working hard on training this week, and particularly with South Africa, the way that they defend with that sort of rush defence, closing everything in, it doesn't give you a lot of time and space, and so that's why it's so important to get on the front foot and to get some go forward, whether that's through your forwards or hitting it up, or the variation of a positive kicking game to slow a bit of their line speed. That gives you just a little bit more time on the ball to create more space.
Cheers.
Warren, just in terms of some of the Scots in your squad, how difficult decisions was it make to drop the likes of Hogg and Harris, and then obviously with Russell coming in on the bench, what kind of options does that give you?
Look, there've just been some really tough calls in terms of that, and Stuart's had the first 2 games, and one of the definite strengths of Liam Williams is his aerial game, and we've unfortunately with our whole back 3 last week, we weren't great in that area. We put a lot of balls down, and so we felt that we needed to make a couple of changes there, and by bringing Bundy in, he does. They used Delande a lot in terms of just off 9 off there as a hit up merchant. So Bundy's been brought in there to try and negate that, and but he's also a good rugby player in terms of getting some go forward. He's not just a hit up person. He's got some really good footwork and offloading ability, and the other thing is to give Robbie an opportunity at Test match level in that 13 channel too. So. Again, some tough calls, and then Finn comes in as someone who hasn't, he's just back to full fitness. It's taken the whole tour, and he adds something a little bit different, and hopefully in that second half when things do loosen up a little bit, we do get some more ball and play time, and we do get some tempo that he can come on and add to that.
You think that could be a spark that could be needed in that last, maybe even the dying minutes, that sort of creativity could make a difference with the likes of Finn there?
He just definitely offers something a little bit different, so, from an attacking perspective, and we've been pleased with Ali on this tour in terms of the tempo that he's brought, and that's why we've moved him back into, thought he played well in the first test, and I even spoke about, the likes of someone like Marcus Smith as well. He brings something a little bit different, and asks and poses different questions of the defence, and that's something that Finn's able to do.
Hi Warren, Sinead here on Virgin Media News. Just again on Bundy, what was his reaction to starting, and also why didn't you include Tyke Byrne in the squad?
Haven't spoken to Bundy about his reaction. He just named the team to the players this morning, so pretty much after we named the team, we went straight to training, so I haven't had a chat about that. The 2 second rows have both played 80 minutes, and one of the strengths of someone like Adam Baird is his maul defence. He was outstanding in the South African A game, did a great job. To be honest, he was quite unlucky not to start the first test in the second row, so we've felt that we need something like that to negate one of their strengths if they go to that in the game. And so Tyke's been, he's been unlucky, and Sam Simmons, we talked about some of the guys we got on the bench, and as the game breaks up, and he hasn't had a huge amount of opportunities, but he's been training well. He's got that speed and power, and hopefully he gets a chance if the game does loosen up a little bit.
Hi Warren, here. Will here. You won't have seen the Boks team, but it's just been announced, and they've got no Faf de Klerk, he's not in the 23, and no Peter Steph de Toy. Can you just comment on those 2 changes and what difference they'll make? Cobus Reinach starting at 9, and Franklin Moster is at 6.
Yeah, I think there'll be two big losses for them, because they're both world-class players, aren't they? They do have a big impact on the game, and so they definitely will make. They definitely will be a loss without those 2 players. We thought that Faf had, when he came off there, might have had a hamstring or a glute, so we weren't expecting him to be playing this weekend, and we weren't sure about Steph de Toy in terms of, obviously, he took a knock early on in the game, tried to play through it, and wasn't right.
Just very quickly on Faf, obviously he's such an energetic character, and likes annoying people, doesn't he, around the base, and is clearly key to their kicking strategy. How much does that change having maybe more of a running 9 in someone like Reinach?
Yeah, and changes, possibly changes the way they're going to look at things, whether they kick more off 10 with Pollard, or they did in the weekend. Pollard kicked a lot more in the second test, so they may revert to that. Obviously, Faf's left foot game and the way he defends, everything's on the edge with him, which is the way he plays, and he's pretty feisty. And I think the message to our players this week is I think we got a little bit embroiled in a lot of pushing and shoving and stuff and things that were going on, and we just need to make sure that we stay away from that, because I think that just got to concentrate on the rugby and let the referee make the decisions, and make sure that we don't get grabbing and holding each other, and guys running in and pushing players in the back and those sorts of things. So I don't think the game needs that. I know everyone's on edge and there's a little bit of pushing and shoving at times, but we just got to ignore that and make sure that we go back and get on with playing the game properly.
Hi Warren, it's Hugh Godwin. Hello. Just to understand about Marius Jonker being the TMO, just to understand your view on that, can you say, when did you become aware that the contingency would be to have a home-based official if somebody pulled out? Did you know that at the start of the tour, or just in the week that it happened? And secondly, do you think there has been a practical effect in the first 2 tests of having a home-based TMO?
I don't want to comment on his performances and stuff and things. So we found out on the Wednesday night before the first test. So our understanding was that it was going to be Brendan Pickerel. We only found out subsequently that World Rugby had known for at least a week or so that there was possibility that he wasn't going to be travelling to South Africa. And that's what raised our concerns. And we weren't notified about that, and why there wasn't contingency in place to have that. So look, these are every 4 years you have the World Cup, and it's and how important the World Cup is. And I think the next biggest thing on the World Rugby calendar is the Lions, and you don't want to be in a position where any of the match officials can be potentially criticised or questioned, and we've already had that where these officials have been accused of being disrespected and haven't made the right calls and potentially been influenced. So that's been disappointing, and I think for everyone we need to make sure that we respect the officials as much as we possibly can. They have a difficult job. Without them, we couldn't play the game. And there's a lot at stake, and I understand at times we all get frustrated about certain decisions and certain calls, and sometimes you just got to suck it up and get on with it. And we've been trying to go through the process, be talking to the referees, either tomorrow afternoon or Thursday afternoon. There's a couple of things that I want to go through and ask them on some of the calls that were made and some of the decisions, a couple of the big calls, and just say, just take me through the process. Please let me understand your thought process, your thinking, so that I can convey those messages to my players, and so that I understand that. And that's kind of what you're doing. We don't always agree, and that's part of the thing that goes on, part of the process in terms of having that obviously robust debate or discussion afterwards about how, not just as coaches and players, how we understand and learn, but also hopefully it's the other way around, that the referee is seeing our point of view, or the sorts of things that we're trying to do as well.
Just quickly, Warren, did you make any representations to try and get someone else out for the second and third test for the TMO?
I did, yes. What's that?
No dice from World Rugby then?
No, I just no. I spoke to Joe Smith, who's involved, and just asked him to please just give me some clarity on the decision, and just asking, you know, why plans hadn't been put in place regarding this. And it's not just the TMO, but what happened if the referees couldn't make it out here? I mean, that was, I think we'd been putting in contingency plans for a number of things, and that if anything happened with COVID and the way things were, that we were covered. So, like I said, there's never been any question about integrity of the people being involved. It's just what we questioned was the process.
Thanks very much, everybody.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Thank you.